Welcome to Amazon Legends, where we have real stories about making it big on Amazon. Our guests are CEOs of large companies and entrepreneurs who became power sellers, also providers specializing in helping sellers, aggregators that acquire sellers, and former Amazonians will give us an insight from behind the scenes. Here is your host, Nick Uresin.
Welcome to another episode of Amazon Legends. My next guest today is a former Amazonian.
Hello.
She worked in several departments, and then she joined the seller and doubled their sales. That's when she discovered, okay, everything I learned, I'm going to apply for not only one, but many sellers. So today she's the senior brand manager at My Amazon Guy, which is a full-service Amazon agency. And when she's not working, she's totally into computers and doing stuff. She's a big fan of Final Fantasy 14 game.
Yes.
And a big reader for novels. So with that, everybody, meet my guest, Faith Denniston.
Hello.
Michelle Faith.
Yes, thank you for having me, Nick. It's good to be here. Super excited. How are you?
Those who are watching on YouTube can see you are always smiling and always happy, always happy. I guess, there's this book called The Happiness Advantage, and it says that if you are happy, you'll be successful. Success doesn't bring happiness. Happiness brings success.
That is so true.
So you are applying that naturally. So we're going to get into your Amazon experience as we start talking. But since you work with multiple sellers, so tell me something that you do very well with your clients.
So I would say several things. We can definitely break it down. So we'll get started with SEO.
Okay. So when we discussed, you were kind of explaining things. And when I said, okay, your success with clients, what does it depend on? And you pretty much put things on a three-prong approach.
Absolutely.
But the way you summarized it, I liked it the most.
Let's see. I said high value action items, which that is a really good way to sum up everything I do. High value action items that altogether drive sales and success and happiness.
Exactly. So SEO is one of those high value actions. Share with us what the other two are.
Yeah, so also PPC and design. So yeah, like you said, a three-pronged approach to just kind of work together and come up with something successful. So
let's dissect the each piece now, and then we want to understand. So I always say that this is not a tutorial kind of podcast.
Yeah,
we do get specific. Not necessarily to tell people exactly what to click and when to click, but to give them the overall idea and the know-how, so that when they do take it on, as soon as you start clicking around, things change.
Yeah.
But if they know the main idea, what is the principle of it, what is the expected outcome, that's what we're gonna learn from you. And then if they get stuck anywhere, they can reach out to you or whatever.
Yeah.
So let's cover the SEO part. So tell us why you start with SEO.
So SEO, in my opinion, and I'm going to try not to make this a monologue because I could really also take up a whole podcast on SEO, and I want to make sure we cover everything.
Don't worry, I'll interrupt you.
Okay, good, because I can be long-winded. So SEO, I think that this is important for a couple of reasons. It is your foundation for your listing. You can't index and you can't really drive PPC unless you have these exact search terms on your listing. If we take an example, iPad case, right? I want to sell a pink iPad case for girls. If my listing just says iPad case, there's no demographic there. There's no there's nothing to describe it, nothing that people would be searching for. It's too broad, right? So that's kind of where this SEO research that we do comes in. And I can tell you more about that.
So what I'm hearing is really what they call the exact search term, right? So you want to be specific. So if you
Yes.
want to sell, so somebody said this to me a while ago. They said, let's say that you sell a toy piano,
Mm-hmm.
but you do your research and then you get listed for piano.
Oh,
And
I
your
see.
listing,
Category.
yeah, I mean, let's
Yeah.
assume that you come up on page 1, but you're selling toy piano. People are not going to click it, right?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
they're not looking to buy a toy piano.
Right. They're
So that's
looking for a real piano.
yeah. So that's what you're getting at. You want to
Mhm.
be specific as possible.
Oh,
Tell
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, tell us why that is important. What metric does that impact? Being that specific.
So this is going to impact your indexing, which is ultimately going to impact your searchability and your revenue for certain keywords. So what we do is we take SEO into like a 4-part approach. So our first part, which will be this foundation that we're talking about now, we reverse engineer competitor listings. So we'll take around 10 competitors or so. It depends on your niche really, but run that through your favorite tool. That could be Helium 10, Cerebro, or sorry, Cerebro is part of Helium 10. Helium 10's on Guru, anything like that. You can run it through there. What you're gonna want to look for though, and this is important, and this is where the answer to your question comes in. You don't want to just put in any search term, right? Because there are some search terms that while they are descriptive of your product, they may not necessarily be worth putting into the listing, as it could take away from other terms that would be more appropriate or have higher search volume, more sales per keyword, etc. So all that to say, whenever we look at, and I use Helium 10 personally, but whenever I look through Helium 10, I look for organic match only. So I don't want to see like any keywords that are popping up as a result of like Amazon pushing it or ads pushing it. I want to see completely organic, and I want to see search volume of at least 100, because like I said, you know, we're not trying to just put keywords in there to put them in there, right? Like there has to be a purpose behind it, right? Like be methodical about it.
So I use Helium 10, and I always, you know, there's Helium 10 and there's Jungle Scout, but I prefer Helium 10. I've never, for whatever reason, never started with Jungle Scout. So it's every creatures of habits. So search volume, you said I pick at least 100. What, that's per month, right?
Yeah, so that would be within a month's time period, 30 days.
Okay. Do you put a cap as a maximum search when you are doing your search?
No,
Okay.
no. The more the better, honestly, but you know, you want to at least have some search volume to go off of, because there are also opportunities, and I promise we're not going to spend this whole episode on SEO, but I also believe there are opportunities for, say, some of those lower search terms, especially if they're branded search terms, to really push those and actually you know, index further on them, drive more traffic. And that's kind of part of the third phase of our SEO process. So kind of get ahead of myself.
What is the branded search term?
Oh, sorry. So that would be like your seller name. So for example, if my seller name was Faith Denniston iPad cases or something silly like that, and I only had a little bit of search volume, but I had some presence outside of Amazon, that's an opportunity we can capitalize on, right? So like maybe a lot of people aren't searching for my iPad brand or whatever on Amazon because they don't know about it. They know about me because I have this is all like, this is not true, but I have like a TikTok following of 4 million or something, you know, like, so maybe the search volume is there, but there's not a lot that can be done with it so far. Maybe competitors are also advertising, or so they would have to be advertising on my keyword or something like that. So when I say branded keywords, I mean just like the brand name.
Okay, so can you put somebody else's brand in your search, in your content?
Nope, you absolutely cannot. However, you can advertise on it. So like I said, they all go hand in hand, all this three-prong approach, right? So that's kind of where PPC comes in. Some of the things you can't put in there that you really want on your listing, like, I want to put Apple all over my listing because I want people to buy my Apple iPad cases, but I can't. However, I can advertise on it. I could even advertise on like an Amazon, or not Amazon, an Apple iPad itself if I wanted to. So that's kind of the beauty of using all of it together.
Yeah. So I want to share something with you and with listeners. So a while ago, I'm working on this thing. I don't remember where I heard this, but somebody asked this question: can I use competitor's brand in my content and get indexed for it? So the answer was no, and you don't want to either.
Right.
So then they asked, well, why wouldn't I want to? Because I'm going to get all their traffic. Well, think about it this way. Let's say that you're looking for Nike sneakers.
Yeah.
And as a shopper, and then this seller put Nike sneakers in their content, but they're not Nike. So those who are looking for Nike sneakers, they see a listing that is indexed for Nike sneakers. They're not going to click on it anyway because it's not Nike.
Exactly.
They're looking for it. So therefore, you would not want to. However, there is something here that is also there available for sellers. Is, let's assume that you built your listing, put all the search terms that are relevant to your features of your product, your sneakers, and you're doing well, and you advertise. You may have put a bid on Nike, whatever. So those shoppers who search Nike sneakers and then click on your listing, and enough of them buy it, Amazon will automatically index you for Nike sneakers.
Yep, exactly.
Which is their customer experience thing, right? So you being a former Amazon person, you know this. It's if somebody is doing such a good job with their product, delivering something that people like, that give good reviews, and as yet they found that through searching for Nike sneakers, they're going to say, well, this is helping our customers. So therefore, that's the case. So,
right, exactly.
So have you actually seen this in action? I haven't seen this in action.
So I have a really interesting case of this. So which kind of ties in, I guess, to like my origins. I work with all kinds of different products, right? So I've been working with this nerve cream, and I was looking at the keywords it indexes on today. And I noticed that it indexes for a brand that my mom worked for. And it's not the same brand or anything. So mostly in cases like that, like what you described, you're exactly right. Like, you don't really want Nike sneakers in your listing if you're not Nike, because if people are looking for Nike, they're not going to convert on like a mom and pop, like $20 pair of shoes. Now, there are some customers that I think, maybe they're looking for something like Nike, but this kind of goes into your long tail exact keywords, right? Because, you can't just hope that somebody typing in Nike shoes is just looking for a lookalike. You could, so in your branded quote unquote PPC campaigns, you could, now I'm going to say this, but I also have another point to back it up. You could theoretically advertise on something like, Nike looking shoes or something. However, I would do the research, through Helium 10 or Search Query Performance, which I guess you and Francisco will be talking about, to see if that's actually worth advertising on, right? Because, we can speculate all we want, like, oh, maybe people are looking for this or something similar, but you're not going to know unless that data is presented to you, which luckily Amazon gives you a free tool to review that data. So,
yeah. So it all starts with the research and then how you are crafting. So you mentioned your SEO has 4 pieces. So it starts. So we jumped on to the third one. What was the second one?
Yeah. All right, so second one, so let me just give like a brief overview to like 2 or 3 words or so. So SEO phase 1, we're just looking at competitor listings, checking out those keywords with a certain minimum search volume, and going from there. So phase 2 is where we will remove duplicates. So it's our copy update phase, if you will, make sure there's no duplicates within the title, bullet points, back end. And then in the back end specifically is where we're going to be placing Spanish terms, or something that we wouldn't necessarily want on the front facing copy, but is high value. So Spanish terms, misspellings, some of those long-term keywords that we were just talking about. So that's phase 2. Phase 3 is where we take words that rank between 20 and 50 and get them to rank between 1 and 19. So, what is 1 and 19 on Amazon? The front page. So, you want all those keywords to be on the front page. You want to rank for those and, take up more real estate on Amazon. So that is a very brief overview.
No, this is straight to the point. I like this very much. So I have questions.
Yes.
Removing duplicates. So you're not supposed to duplicate your keywords in the title or in the bullets, but how about duplicating the keywords across title and bullet?
So I think there's mixed opinion on this, to be quite honest. In my opinion, I don't think that you want to repeat them a whole lot, like say iPad case, you wouldn't want it to be like every other word, right? I don't think necessarily that there's anything wrong with having that in the title or maybe in your alt text and your backend keywords, but that depends also, I think, on how many keywords your listing is indexing for. So something I didn't mention in our keyword research process is at least when you get up to SEO phase 3, you want to index for at least 800 plus keywords. So having that kind of pool of keywords, it's very unlikely that you'd be duplicating anything in like the title, bullet points, alt text. But if you're in an extremely, extremely niche product category, then it's not the worst thing in the world if it's repeated in like the title or the back end or the alt text. But yeah.
So are you telling me if you use, let's say, a 3-word exact term, you put it in the, let's say that is relevant, that's what you want, and you put it in the title, and then when you put it also somewhere in the bullets, not necessarily repeat, but maybe in the second bullet, you also use that same term, does that get you extra benefit now that you've got that exact term? And then
I see what you're asking. I see what you're asking. I don't necessarily think so, because it's all counted as one impression, right? So you would only really be indexing on it once. However, it shows up a lot. But this is something that's really interesting and something I do like to debate as well, because there's not really any evidence one way or the other. It's more so things that you've noticed, because there have been, a couple of clients where I've experimented and, we've kind of repeated the keywords and I've noticed, the volume is going up, but is the volume going up because the keyword's in there or because it's in there multiple times? Because I've also seen the reverse happen when, you don't add it, it's in there once, but you see your index and your ranking go up, but like I said, it's only in there once. So I'm inclined to think it can, But, it's like I said, though, it's one of those things that I personally, I think everything counts as one impression. So, but it also kind of gives it extra juice. So
What about, so this is the other thing. So obviously Amazon's algorithm is strong enough so that if you have,
right.
let's say, for example, 3-word search term, and then comma, and then another 4-word search term. So those total 7 keywords, also they get indexed as a combination of different things, right?
Oh, with the comma?
Yeah, with the comma, without comma. So how does that impact the indexing?
So in my experience, once you start typing in a lot of things into like the search vault, so if we were going with your toy piano example, and we put in toy piano that's black for kids ages 6 to 10 or something like that. So while that is very, very specific, Amazon is counting the keywords as, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this, as like a phrase, right? So if we think of it that way, the amount of people who are going to type in that exact phrase, whatever I said, the toy piano that's black for kids is ages 5 to 12 or whatever. The amount of people, or the likelihood of that many people typing in that phrase, is very low. Now, that being said, Amazon, their algorithm, like you said, is pretty strong, right? So even though that is highly specific, that would still bring up that search result. However, that's not necessarily, in my opinion, a term that you would want, or something super specific you would want to focus on.
So let's take the phrase. So toy piano for kids ages 3 to 5.
Okay.
Let's say no commas, you put that all as one phrase, and then comma, and then you put available in 3 colors, black, whatever.
Oh, I see, like separating the search query.
Comma, that's something else. So, but let's focus on that toy piano for kids ages 3 to 5. Now, there are, let's say, I don't know how many, 7 words in this. So Amazon indexes different combination of those 7 words as, 2 words, 3-word combinations,
Right.
and all. So, for the listeners' benefit, I think it's good to break this down. So first of all, you don't need to worry about making it exact. As long as you have those, you will be indexed for different combinations.
I see what you're saying now. Yeah. So as Nick said, not like a whole big, like long string, like I was thinking. So, but if you break it up between the comma, and then it's each going to index separately and then bring your listing up.
Several individual phrases, but the comma is where it separates, right?
Yes.
Comma. Well, okay.
Yes.
The other thing that I want to cover with you, this is so important, because without SEO, you have no visibility. Of course.
This is so true. Yeah. Which is why it's the foundation, you need that visibility.
Yeah. So let's talk about the dash and the canonical URL. So share with us some wisdom about how to best use this.
For the canonical URL. So I think that this is best used. Now, you do know, or I'm sure you're aware, Amazon will, like if you go to the stores and you click on it, like it'll just bring up like amazon.com/stores, blah, blah, blah. However, the canonical URL is still important for indexing purposes. So I assume we're on the same page, right? Like canonical URL of an Amazon brand store. Like, okay. So I would also take this a step further with meta description as well. So here's why. Meta description is not visible to your customer. Like they're not going to go to your brand store and see like this meta description. However, and then this along with the canonical URL is important for Google indexing. So it will index on Google, which, will in turn bring you to Amazon. So if people are searching for, I assume my brand name is Toy Pianos, and my meta description's like great toy pianos for kids ages 3 to 12. If somebody's Googling toy piano ages 3 to 12, they see toy piano, or I see my brand name is toy pianos for kids. They'll see that in my canonical URL that's indexing in Google, right? And then they'll also see meta description and anything I put in there that indexes as well, including, demographic information, stuff like that.
So one thing that I always apply when I'm working with a client is this is for brand new listings. So they're creating a listing for the first time.
Exactly.
We find those high value keywords that we want to dominate. So what I do is I say, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to make up the first 5 words of the title. First 5, not 6, not 4. First 5 words of the title, and then space dash space. And then doesn't matter what you put after that. So when you submit that listing,
the PDP canonical URL. Sorry, I was in a different world.
That's okay.
I was in a different world. No, but you're exactly right. So the 5, those first 5 words, that will be in the URL for the product description page.
Yes.
And that does index as well. So as you were getting at, sorry, I feel like you say one thing and I'm like, Amazon is so vast. And I'm like, oh yeah, he meant this. And then you explain it. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. No, it's okay. But I mean, what you explain also is valuable and as valuable because stores are key. So
yes. Even though we were on a different page.
So I tell people, do not, if you're creating a listing, don't go rushing.
Yes.
Because you have to do your research and you have to pick the keywords because it's gonna set your strategy going forward. And then you have to make up 5 words that will mean something, but not 6. And hyphenated words count as 1, right? Hyphenated words count. And then you must put, and some people, to save space, they don't put space in front of the dash.
Yeah.
No, that's one character you want.
Yeah, no, that's a precious character.
Yeah. So you do that, and then when you submit it, guess what? Your URL for that product is going to have exactly those 5 words. And that, just like you put it, will have huge SEO value outside Amazon, because now think about your keywords are now part of your URL. And that's going to get picked up all over. And not to mention, it's also valuable for Amazon, right? Right.
And then, to add what I had added, that works not just for the product detail page, but also for your brand store as well. So different points, same conclusion.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to ask you one more thing.
Yeah.
Backend. So that is in the when you are doing the listing on Seller Central, you go to the page where you have the search term page, right? So search term fields. You can also put this in the flat file if you're using the feed. How many do you get to have, and how many characters can you put in each one?
So this is something you might not know, but Amazon actually goes by bytes. So we do 250 bytes, which is valuable because you can squeeze in just a little bit more juice there. But yeah, 250 bytes.
So how do you measure the byte versus character? Because as you're typing, the characters.
Yeah. So characters include spaces. I'm trying to remember the best way to describe this. Characters are like spaces, commas, dash, stuff like that. Bytes, however, do not take any spaces or anything into account. It's specifically the character. So, if you're typing in 10 keywords and you have 10 spaces, that's an additional 10 bytes that you can use. I hope I explained that correctly.
So if you're using 10 keywords, you have, let's make it specific. Let's make it simpler. Yeah. Let's have you have 5 keywords and you have space in between. So that means 4 spaces. So do those spaces count towards the bytes?
No, so, and I had to look it up. So, a byte is like a binary digit. So anything that has like, so just a regular space that's like invisible doesn't count as a byte. Whereas like, I wonder if I can like share my screen, because this might be like a demonstration type thing. It's really hard to
most people are listening, so they want.
that is true. That is
Yeah.
true. So
You know,
so it's gonna be like a character though, like just a letter, a number, a character, that counts as a byte. But anything, so if you type in something in a character counter or something, you put in spaces, that's going to count as a character. Whereas with a byte counter, like the spaces, commas, stuff like that don't count because it has to be like a character. I hope that makes sense.
I'm sure there is a way to look up the total byte for when you create something. So the bottom line is,
Bottom line,
for
250 characters or bytes for, so whichever one you use. I try to be a little extra and I do bytes. I think Stephen Pope did a whole video about the bytes versus characters, if you all wanted to check that out. But yeah, 250, that's the limit.
Stephen is the gentleman who owns My Amazon guy, right?
Yeah, CEO and founder. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So if you're using the backhand search terms, make sure you know that you have up to 250 bytes, not characters. Now the other thing is those who use emojis, they are one emoji is not 1 byte. It can be more than 1 byte, some emojis. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. I think emojis count for like 2 or something, depending on the emoji.
Yeah, I mean, I heard somewhere that emojis are not 1 character, so keep that in mind. So we're recording this in March of 2023. So as of today, those backhand search terms, it's 1 field and you put 250 in it, right?
Correct.
Used to be multiple fields.
Yeah, there used to be a lot of stuff to put in there, and now it's just like search terms. But you used to have like your target audience, stuff, demographics, stuff like that. Not anymore.
Yeah. And so in that 1 field, search term field, you have up to 250 bytes, and you do not use comma, right?
Correct. Yeah. No commas.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, because these things that, I mean, Amazon made these changes, they make changes all the time, and it's such a fine thing that because you used to put commas before. Now you don't do that. Okay. So we've covered SEO. Now SEO is done. Your listing is done. You've got your bullets. You've got your title. You've got your canonical URL, the backend terms, your branded terms. You've got everything.
You got
ready.
it all.
I have a couple more things on SEO that I want to get out there for people to learn. You mentioned alt tags. So you're referring to the alt tags for the pictures.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, A+ content.
Okay. What about the main image and the other images? How about those?
They don't have an alt text field. So the alt text field is supposed to be for like visually impaired people, and it's supposed to kind of describe the picture. However, a lot of different sellers have found that you can put keywords in there and you'll index for those. So that's kind of how a lot of people are utilizing those fields. But again, that's only in the A+ content from what I've seen.
So put your keywords in the alt tags of the A+ pictures. Again, repeating. How about repeating those? Repeating those in a way that I described. So you use it in the title, and then you use the same in the alt tag. Is that advisable, or does it make any difference? Or what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So alt text definitely will give you that little bit of SEO juice. Now, it depends on your niche. If you don't have a whole lot of keywords, so if you're car parts or something like that, you might want to repeat keywords, just to give it that extra boost. However, most listings, you want to aim to, like I said, for SEO phase 3, we aim for at least 800 keywords that we index for. So that gives you a large pool of keywords to choose from. So your alt text, what I mainly use it for, even before moving on to phase 2 or anything like that, is I throw my misspellings in there, my Spanish keywords, just anything like that that'll index, but something that you don't necessarily, like, you don't want a misspelled word in your title or your bullets or anything, but behind the scenes, that's okay.
Okay. So 2 more questions.
To answer your question, circumstantial on repeating, but it should be fine if you don't have a whole lot of keywords to put in there.
Great. So 2 more questions. A plus content. Does it get indexed for Amazon searches?
Yes. So the alt text, and not only the alt text, but the modules, the text-based modules will index as well. So now it's mostly bots that are scanning these. People don't really read the the customer-facing text modules. People don't necessarily read those. So I have, as crazy as it sounds, I have actually seen A+ where people just threw keywords in there to index. So it literally was just like keyword soup. I've seen people do that and they still do relatively well, believe it or not. But if you want to do it right, have like a nice, concise, neat looking listing, you can add in. Now, for those, you would want to do like exact match or long tail keywords, almost like you're writing like a product description or like the product bullet points. Put like some important keywords in there, but I would say that you would want to reserve your most important, or like the keywords that have the most search volume, the most relevancy. Those are going to go in your bullet points in your title, of course, but anything else you can definitely use for that A+ text box. To answer your question though, yes, that does index.
Okay, cool. The last question on this. So as you know, you have product description. You have the title, the bullets, and the description. Description gets replaced with A+ content if you have one.
Yes.
So even though product description has up to 2,000 characters, right?
Depending on the category, I've seen some that have cut it down to 500, but for purposes of this podcast, yes, we'll just say 2,000.
Yeah. So even though product description is replaced by A+ content, if you do have product description and A+ content, does the product description content get indexed?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So even though it's not customer facing, right, it's another field that you want to fill in and put in additional keywords. Now with the product description, I wouldn't necessarily throw in misspellings or Spanish keywords, because there are times where Amazon will find like one word they don't like on your A+ and just take it down or something like that. But yeah, it will still index, not only on Amazon, but outside of Amazon as well.
Okay, this is outside of Amazon. You mean
actually,
the product
no, sorry, I'm a liar. That's for meta description, not regular description.
I know A+ does get.
You're like, wait a minute, is this new information? No, I'm a liar. I'm meta description, not regular description. So sorry.
All right, no problem. So no, you see, I listen. I'm not. I say.
I was that was a test. I was testing you.
One of my favorite quotes is I have quite a few. I collect them, and one of my favorite quotes I heard from somebody. I didn't read it. I heard. He said, "Are you listening or are you waiting to talk?" So there's a huge difference between the two.
Oh yeah.
So I make an effort to listen instead of waiting.
I like that. That's definitely my quote of the day.
I'll share with you. I have like a whole. I actually did make a list, and I would keep
really?
it. forget, and I would go look at it. It's fun. So you talked about stores and brand stories. So what I'd like you to share with us is this. There is a way to use your brand story and your product detail page, your PDP, to bring people to your stores.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us how you do it the most efficient way.
So, in my opinion, the most efficient way to do that, there's a really good example on Steven's own listing, his Age of Sage listing. But the brand story itself is concise. I mean, it's got description and text and copy in it, because that also indexes. I don't think we went over that yet, but brand story absolutely indexes. But, you know, short, concise, you don't want people scrolling through there for like 10 minutes to try to get to the end where it says shop now or something, because it is, whenever you go into the A+ Content Manager, which is where you would build your brand story, it's built based off of modules. So it's going to be a module, but you're going to want that not necessarily at the very front, like shop now, but, you know, place it strategically and kind of after, you know, and it is a brand story, right? So like, obviously tell a little bit about yourself, put in some keywords in that description, and then right after shop now. But like I said, short, sweet, to the point, because there are a few main purposes, in my opinion, for brand story: indexing, of course, driving traffic to the store, which we also mentioned, and then introducing someone to your brand, right? So it's not just some random seller on Amazon or anything like that. Like, oh no, this is a mom and pop shop who make these toy pianos in their garage, and they started in 1942, and it was a you know, like people like that.
Okay, so when you have that brand story, what are the mechanics of somebody on your PDP looking at your listing, and then you've got your brand story down there where your A+ content is? What are the mechanics of them ending up on the stores page?
So what they would need to do is they would need to click through the brand story, the modules, and get to the module that's like shop now. Or if the brand story is curated in a way to where it's like, I'm trying to remember how they're set up. I know it's like one little module, second little module, and then you would like flip to like page 2, and then a couple more little modules. So the way that would work, you would navigate to Amazon, you would find the brand story, and then just kind of navigate to how you can get to that page.
So as in your brand story module of the A+ content, you add a shop now button. Is that
Yeah, so it's like a feature whenever you're creating it from within Seller Central, or sorry, that A+ Content Manager within Seller Central. It's like a feature that you would add in there, like a little shop now button, and then that would redirect you to the store.
Okay, and of course, there's I had a seller, and it's an amazing story. Their episode has not aired yet, but they sold shoe accessories, shoe polish accessories. You know when they launched? Just before the pandemic.
Good for them. Good for them.
And of course, nobody wore shoes for about a year and a half. So it was a tough one, but they are now doing gangbusters. They're doing very well. So they,
good. Yeah, now that people are out walking again, wearing shoes.
But they pivoted, they did something. But what the tip I got from him was they look at their top selling products, and then they cater their store homepage.
Oh, I see.
Upsell, showcase.
I see what you were getting at with your question then. Yeah, so yes, I agree with that strategy. Definitely want to showcase your best products. I would even go so far if you are redirected to a brand store from the brand story, put a video there as well, because you can also have a video on the front page of your brand store. You can't with A+ unless it's premium. So this is also an important driver, because that video can autoplay as well. You know, probably don't want like a 20-minute video or anything like that. I don't want an episode of a TV show, but like something quick to the point that really showcases your product and has that call to action, right? Like if we sell toy pianos, our call to action is to drive more musical learning in children or something like that. So yeah, I got what you're getting at now.
Yeah, I want to connect. I want to connect the listing page to the store,
right?
Through brand story. So
right,
that was something I thought, oh, that was smart. So this is great. So anything else you want to add to the SEO effort?
Oh, well, I was going to say one other thing. I was going to say ICAP, but I know there's another unreleased episode where you go into that in further details. So yeah, that's actually part 4 of our 3-part process. So this one's relatively newer. Like I said, there will be another episode on this that goes into further detail, but this is going to be your search query performance report, where you take keywords out of that and then make sure that those are present in your copy. And then you know, the search query, what we do is we kind of look at it like a funnel, right? So like you have your impressions, your clicks, your add to carts, your purchases. You want to analyze all of that to make the best decision on kind of how to proceed with that keyword. Like if I have a keyword and I don't have a lot of impressions, but I have a lot of clicks and a lot of add to carts, that indicates that I might be laying money, or I might be leaving money on the table because it's doing well with the very little impressions it has, needs more impressions, up ad spend. So very, very short example of kind of how you can use ICAP, very, very broad example. But like I said, there's a whole episode on that. So
yeah. Well, I mean, this search query performance is a game changer. I'm glad that Amazon released it. That's when I first saw it, you know, you have to scroll across. You can't see the whole thing when you land on. So I did
so much data.
You know, scrolling vertically, we all do, but scrolling across is not natural. So I did not scroll across to see the whole thing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, when I realized it, I thought, holy cow, this is like amazing. They have everything. They have the impressions, your share of the impressions, and then, you know, click through, then add to cart, and then purchase. So they not only track all that, but they released it, which Amazon does not do, as you know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, they're usually pretty greedy with their data. So the search query performance was honestly very generous of them. Very good.
So you gave us the 3-prong approach. We just pretty much covered the SEO parts.
There's so much to cover with it, though.
Yeah. I mean, clearly. So we're not going to be able to do much with the PPC, but give us. We have to bring you back to do the rest of it. But give us your intro to the part 2 of Amazon success.
All right.
Why PPC and SEO need to be considered together? What's the most significant aspect of it?
So the most significant aspect for PPC and SEO is your PPC is going to directly impact your SEO. So PPC is going to give you that little bit of extra visibility that you need, especially as a newer seller with newer products to launch, to get that traction. And then once you get, because you know your overall indexing with SEO is determined on how many people are purchasing off of that keyword, right? So this is where PPC comes into play. You know, we can't just rely on the gods to be kind to us and put us on the front page as newer sellers, right? So you would use your PPC and like utilize some I know we don't have a lot of time to go over all the strategies, but we, you know, utilize like your top of search, you know, rest of search, product pages, you know, target different competitors. And honestly, that's a good segue into the third prong of the approach, which is design. Because I mentioned competitors. So
Yeah.
I will pause here. I can go on.
What do you say to those who say, I don't have money for PPC. I don't like this pay to play idea. I have a good product. I'm going to do my homework and I'm going to list it. And then I'm just going to let it ride. I've got my listing up and I'm just going to launch that way. What do you say to those?
I'm going to say that I hope they have a good social media following, or they have a product that is just unique and nobody else is selling, because that, I think, is the only way. I know that may sound harsh, but yes, it is a pay to play environment and you do have to spend money to make money. It's not fair and it's harsh, but this is not 2015 at Amazon where you could just throw something up and like get a sale without any effort. Like we're in 2023, like there's videos, there's forums, there's Reddit pages, there's Facebook groups, like a whole lot of people looking into how to best like succeed and kind of play the system at Amazon. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, PPC is just a part of that. I truly believe, unless, like I said, you have a huge social media following, or you have just like the most unique product in the world that's the answer to everyone's prayers, you're going to need that PPC.
Yeah, I totally agree. I do have a client. They are a fairly large company, but they never have any money.
Yeah.
So they said to me, we started building their listing. So we launched just recently launched the listing, and then the next thing is they come back and say, okay. First of all, they built other listings without really showing it to me in terms of it's not secret. They didn't do a secret. They just wanted to be more efficient and build the listings.
Right.
They not only put the content together, but they also created the ASINs. And then they tell me, okay, we've got these listings. Also, I said, oh my God, why did you do that?
Why did you do that?
Because those 5 words, the canonical URL is not gone. The next thing is they say to me, okay, we're just going to launch the first listing. We'll run the PPC on it. But the others, we're not going to run PPC. We are going to go organic and just put the listing up because they also sell to big box stores, because we want to just at least see that we are listed on Amazon. And I said, that would be like adding insult to injury, because first of all, the reason why you would make a sale is because you come up under searches for certain search terms. Well,
Right.
in order to come up under those search terms, you have to be indexed. And in order to be indexed for a specific set of keywords, you have to run a focused campaign.
Yes.
You have to drive traffic in a focused way for those keywords. The only way to do that is PPC. If you don't do that and you just put listings up, at best, you're going to get random traffic and you're not going to get anywhere near anything focused. Number one. Number two, because of that, now that's the injury. Because of that, you're not going to get ranked. You're not going to get reviews. You're not going to get volume. And then you go sit in front of the buyer in a big box store and you pull up your listing and say, look, we are on Amazon. At this point, they're all educated enough. And they're going to say, oh, yeah, 0 rating, 0 reviews, and 297,865 bestseller rank.
Right.
And it's going to backfire. So that's my response. So would you agree with all this?
I would agree that this is absolutely going to backfire. You can't just rely on that organic ranking alone. And like you said, it's rank number 2,907,000. Like there's that many other people ahead of you, and they probably got reviews. They probably got, customer images in those reviews. They've got review, assuming they have, like a rating. They have a rating. They have a lot of things that people are going to use in their conversion, right? Think of yourself as a shopper. If I see product A, no reviews, nothing, looks like a brand new product. I don't know how this performs. And I see product B and it's got 4,000 reviews, 4.5 stars, comparable price, but it has that history. Which one would you go for?
Well, it's a no-brainer. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely a strategy. If you are planning to go to big stores, it's without a question. You want to launch on Amazon first, rank up, prove that the product. And by the way, a product that does not have good ratings, they also don't want to take the risk by carrying it in their stores.
Exactly.
And shelf space and blah blah for something that's an unknown. So Amazon is a good way for them to know this is a good product for us to buy.
Right. Yeah. Like it's already got how many reviews. And I would assume that you pitch the Vine program for them if it makes sense. Vine doesn't make sense for every type of product, but for the vast majority. I mean, honestly, 200 per ASIN for at least 30 reviews, I think is a great deal considering that they're all legitimate reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Faith, this was great. I love dissecting these things into small pieces. People who know what they are talking about. It's so much fun.
Yes, I agree. And I think I was a little bit nervous because I've only really ever been on the My Amazon Guy podcast, but I appreciate you walking me through like some of the questions, like the brand store one where I was like, oh yeah, the brand store URL. But I appreciate that. That's awesome.
No, I mean, listen, it's so easy to it's a huge universe of things.
Yeah.
And there's more than one way of using things.
So, yeah, especially on Amazon, you could have asked me how to make an FBA shipment, and there I can already think of like a couple of different ways to do that. So
yeah, I mean, when you get into the operational part, things get even a lot more complicated.
Oh yeah, and that might be another podcast episode where we talk about my actual Amazon experience.
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll definitely do that. So enough business talk. Let's dive in a little bit. So tell us where you grew up and share with us some of your life experiences.
Okay, cool. I grew up in a small town in Kentucky. My graduating class had less than 100 people, and I was one of the valedictorians. So that's kind of where I started out. I actually initially went to school for nursing. Yeah. And then I took a break, started working at Amazon, first as a customer service rep, but there was a lot of career growth opportunities, at least during that time at Amazon. And I thought, I actually really like working the e-commerce business side of things. So then that's kind of how I evolved into working where I am now. Going from behind the scenes at Amazon to actually working with a seller on Amazon to now working at the My Amazon Guy agency. But yeah, in between all of that, because that's
so
about.
You wanted to be a nurse. You wanted to be a nurse.
Yeah.
And why was that?
Truthfully, because I was 18, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I had a full ride scholarship and I knew I would have job security as a nurse, if you want the honest truth. That's why I kind of appreciate the break I took from college, because now I know I'm a business oriented person. I'm e-commerce oriented, and I know there's not like an e-com major or anything like that, but it helped me learn where I excel. Not saying I would have been a bad nurse, but I like Amazon a lot more than I like hospitals. So
was anybody in the family a nurse or healthcare or anything like that?
No. Funnily enough, my dad was actually a computer science major, so he did computer stuff. So I really should have just kept it in the family, like, business with a minor in computer science or something like that. So no, honestly, I was like, oh, I think I romanticized it. I was like, oh, I can't imagine myself in scrubs walking down the hospital lane and taking care of people. And then you see the reality of it and you're like, oh, I
It's
have to
totally.
take care of a person and like know all this stuff. I don't know. It's a lot of responsibility. Like mad respect to all the medical professionals out there, but I'm
So did
not
your
that.
family, how did your family respond when you wanted to become a nurse? Being a valedictorian and being this brilliant student, what was the
Oh,
reaction?
they were supportive and happy for me. So I also went to college a couple of hours outside of my small town. I went to University of Louisville. So they were just really proud that I was there, and I was there on a full ride scholarship, and then I was doing that. So um but they had also, because I'd also talked to them about like my doubts, like, oh, I don't know if this is the right field for me. I think I'm gonna take a break. Maybe like work in the public. Well, I guess Amazon wasn't technically the public, but like get my feet wet, because I was, not that I think there's a such thing as taking life too fast, but I was very much one of those, okay, I graduated high school, time for college, like let's go, let's go, let's go. Um, and I think people really need that time to figure out, what works for them. I don't know if you knew this, Stephen Pope used to work like with a news channel before he did Amazon. So
Really? I didn't know
yeah,
that.
yeah, kind of a similar, well, not really similar, but like we both didn't like wake up and be like, yeah, we're gonna be Amazon professionals, like it just, life kind of edged us
Good.
in that direction. So
So you didn't work as a nurse too long then?
no, I actually didn't work as a nurse at all. It was like whenever I got to the like people caring for portion of nursing school, I was like, I'm gonna take a break. Yeah. And then
What was the transition? I mean, why you could have done many other things. Where did the Amazon piece come from?
so it was at the time it was a good opportunity for me, because it was great money at the time. It's not anymore. It was good money, and I was really intuitive and good at it. I mean, I know I just started as like a customer service agent, but I really kind of understood the website and where they were coming from and like the ins and outs, which made me a better customer service agent. Wouldn't you like to hear that from someone in seller support?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, but that's the kind of people they hired back then, like people who um maybe you were taking a break from college or something. Like it's kind of a big deal to get a job with Amazon, and especially if you got promoted within Amazon, which is what happened with me. I got promoted to like a higher level department, so like the Amazon affiliates department and the social media department. So, and that's what I really liked about Amazon, because I know we had talked before that one of my main drivers in life, and especially with my career, is I like to learn. I want to grow. Like I don't want to stay stagnant in the same position. Like I want to always be challenged, and Amazon is perfect for that, because as you know, with many things with Amazon, there's not a black or white answer. Like there's, and even if there was, they might change the resolution for that like tomorrow. So this is really the perfect environment for me. And then working at Amazon as it was, it's not like this anymore. But as it was good for me, because I was able to learn different departments, different facets of Amazon, and how to handle that. And that's where I eventually got into seller support. I mean, I didn't work seller support, let me be clear, but working with sellers through social media, because with social media, that's the whole thing. But I'm getting really rambly. The TLDR of this is I like to learn, and Amazon provides me with that. Now, I'm not saying that nursing wouldn't, because like human body, always something to learn, but like I'm more business oriented than medical oriented. So
Well, I mean, look, it's like human talent is like the water in fire hose. It's not gonna stop. It's gonna keep flowing.
right.
So it'll flow in the direction of where the talent belongs. And sooner or later you get there. And when you do, then it's home for you. And you just get better because that's what you're good at. And as you and because you're good at it, you enjoy it, and as you enjoy it, you get even better at it. So that's the way it goes. Unfortunately, for some people, they never find out. I mean, that's
Yeah.
also a reality. But I'm glad you found your place, and I'm glad that my Amazon guy is delivering success to all the clients through people like you who love what they do. So it's
Yeah.
a good
Yeah,
fit.
because I could be a nurse like on her 12th hour of a shift right now, like just ready to cry. And instead, here I am on a podcast talking about everything I've learned since working with Amazon sellers and in the Amazon space. So I'm definitely on the right track and where I want to be.
Yeah, it looks that way for sure. This was great.
Yes,
Faith.
I
So
agree.
how can people contact you? Share your contact information with us. We'll obviously put it up with the episode, but
Mhm.
share how people can reach you.
Yeah, so I can be reached on LinkedIn, Faith Denniston, or faith@myamazonguy.com.
Great. This was great.
Yes.
We only covered one of the three.
Yeah, it was an SEO episode.
We'll bring you back, and then we'll continue. And this was a great episode. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Nick. I had a lot of fun and definitely looking forward to the next episode.
And we will soon have that. And thank you. And this brings us to the end of another episode. And I'll see you on the next one.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the episode, and share it with someone you think would benefit from it too.